Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share insights on what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fiume, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Before I start today's show, I have exciting news for founders, CEOs, and franchise brand presidents. Join me January 14th through the 16th, 2025 in Tampa for the first ever Emerging Franchise Brands live event, an exclusive opportunity designed just for you. It's my blueprint for success at every stage of franchising, one I wish I'd had, packed with real-world solutions and strategies to solve your challenges today and prepare for those you'll face tomorrow. Space is limited, so head over to emergingfranchisebrands.com to secure your spot today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the founder and CEO of As You Wish Lifestyle, Allison Welch. Allison, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure to have you on. So, Allison, tell us all about what is As You Wish Lifestyle.
Sure. So, As You Wish was founded in Denver in 2010. We are an a la carte personal assistant and event planning company. So essentially, we help people gather more time in their life so they can be out hiking, biking, going to the beach instead of going to Costco or organizing their closet. So we want to simplify things for our clients. Essentially, we're a personal assistant company, and we work on those daily tasks, errand running. Right now, it's the holiday season, so we're putting up Christmas trees. We're going to start wrapping gifts. Getting into all of the things around the holidays that are just, causing, our clients a lot of time to be away from their family or the office. So anything you can think of, we can do it on an hourly basis. So so you don't need to have that full-time assistant or house manager. We come on an a la carte basis as needed. No overhead, no contracts.
Allison, how did you come up with this idea?
Sure. So I went to school in South Carolina. After that, I worked for an athlete and started to learn there how to manage calendars, planes, trains, and automobiles, different homes, lifestyles of that world. Worked for him for about 7 years. And then after that, I moved to New York City to be closer to home. And I worked for famed interior decorator Charlotte Moss. And I ran her 3 households between New York City, East Hampton, and Aspen. And then, helped her with her, she did a book tour. She was very philanthropic, but needed those everyday tasks done as well. So that's where I stepped in with my team to make sure that domestically everything was on track. But when I moved to Colorado, I just decided to come out here from the city in 2010. Loved it, loved skiing, loved the lifestyle. And just that thought of not everyone needs this, a full-time assistant or help or management, but really just as needed. So maybe you're busy around, the holidays, as I said, and you need an extra hand, or you're moving and you don't have time to pack the boxes and hire the movers and unpack and organize in your new home. So we can help out there. Or you'd maybe gotten into a fender bender and we could take your car in, pick it up from the office, go get the quote for you, and then, get the car fixed. So really anything that is on your list to do, we can manage and take care of. And we also have a small part of our business, which is event planning. It really goes hand in hand with a lot of our clients that are, if we're in their house organizing their pantry and then they say, oh, it's my son's birthday next week. Totally forgot. I got to put together a little fiesta. So we'll go ahead and, get out invitations, order food and cake, cupcakes, whatever they need, decorations, make the goodie bags, and we can set it up and leave. So mom looks like the hero. She does it all. So
what a great idea.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit of everything.
So what do you say to the potential customer that says, Allison, this is a great idea, but it'll never work for me because it'll take me too long to explain what I want, or I'm a control freak, even though my list is a mile long, I'm never going to get to it. That's got to be one of the most common questions.
Of course.
Right?
No, great question, because letting go of that sort of power or control or just, people know their own homes, obviously. But, what we like to do is a complimentary walkthrough at a client's home. That way they're in their space. We can walk through and then, we're going through, groceries need to be stocked. Then we go through the front closet hasn't been organized in years. Then we go through the backyard and the fence is broken. So we would hire a handyman to come fix that. Then we're walking through the kiddos' room and the clothes need to be changed out or updated, So you kind of go through the home first is what we like to do and really showcase, say, good. And then we come back with our list of to-dos, if you will, and then they typically say, go for it. And that starts the relationship and, going forth from there.
There's so much trust involved, right? Once they start seeing that they're getting results and there's rapport, I would imagine like, that's it. Like I could picture just like the doors busting open now. Now the list gets even longer.
Exactly. It does. We want to be very intuitive with our clients. We want to know what's next. When is their anniversary? When are big dates in their lives coming up? Maybe one of their kids is graduating and we can help pull that event together. But, to your point, confidentiality is a huge part of our business. We work with everyday families. We work with athletes, executives. We sign a confidentiality agreement going into their home or their vehicle, just knowing that we are not sharing proprietary information. That's super important to us and our team.
What about from a franchise opportunity perspective? First of all, what made you decide to franchise this? You were running the business for 13 years, right before you started franchising. How did that come to be? What was that defining moment or aha that you said, I've got to expand this?
Sure. So our team here in Denver of lifestyle coordinators, we found ourselves traveling quite a bit. Let's say a pro athlete got traded and they have to pick up and move and play the game on Sunday. So, we really started the process of working with the 4 pro teams here to start. But, we had to pack up, maybe ship their vehicle, go to the DMV in their new city, get their utilities set up. So organize and unpack their home so that they're set and they're ready to play their game. But also a lot of, we call it snowbirds, as you know, in Florida. But,
Sure.
We would go to destinations, Scottsdale, Palm Springs, whatnot, and then open the client's home for the winter and stock their groceries, get their pool open, maybe get keys made, whatever they need, get the car ready to go. So our team was traveling to these other locations to sort of get these homes ready and up and running for our clients to be there and live so they don't have to get there and worry about it. It's just a one-stop shop.
Okay. And then, so where did franchising come to be that you said, I'm going to franchise this? So
we were in these cities and sort of looking for partnerships of, gosh, we're going to need an extra hand, or I need 5 movers, not the 2 that came, or whatnot. I just couldn't find someone that does an all-encompassing concierge service like we do. There are the one-off organizers or the one-off errand runners or a task rabbit or something of that sort, which is great. We're really unique because we do house all of those services into one. And once you're in, your client's home and they know you and they trust you, they don't want to work with other vendors. They really want to work with you. So we decided from there to educate ourselves on the franchise process, worked with consultant early on, probably the end of 2022. And then 2023, finalized the fun items like the FDD and
that's a whole lot of fun.
Paperwork. And we actually trademarked the name As You Wish in 2015. So that was good. And that was done.
Smart.
So, and then working with a marketing company to take it from a small, just a city owned, entity to really make it nationwide. So branding everything, the same fonts, the logos, the colors, so that across the board, we are, one unit. So we've definitely learned a lot in the last year or two. But now that we're, all together and, share the same systems and all the things that we're great. We're up and running now.
Sweet. So how many franchises do we have and where are they located right now?
Sure. So we have 3 right now. South Denver was our first franchise, which was great. It was right south of us. Boulder, Colorado sold secondly. They're to the west of us. Then our first out-of-state franchise sold in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's been great. We had they were out here to our office in Cherry Creek training in September, and then we did a launch party for them in October, and now they are just starting to get up and running there. So it's been great to see them out of state using our tools, virtually, essentially working.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so who do you expect to be a franchise owner? Like, who is that ideal owner? And do you expect them to be working, or are they going to be the personal assistant, or are they responsible for hiring a team?
Sure.
What does the business look like?
Yeah, our ideal candidate for a franchisee is someone who wants to own their own business. You can work from your home. You really need just a vehicle and a computer. So it's really low maintenance on that end, no brick and mortar required. But someone that really appreciates the service industry, has some hospitality background, maybe was an executive assistant or an organizer. We are finding the leads that are coming in are with folks that love to run errands and love to organize and love to just be out and about. They don't want to be in that 9-to-5, maybe office setting, but they really don't want to start their own business from scratch. So we can come in and say, here's all the tools you need, and voila, you own your own business. So, someone who is ready to, really start up and running. We love for the owner to work in the business as well. Most of our owners so far do that. They have hired chief lifestyle coordinators. That's what we call sort of our operations manager.
Okay.
So they have hired those as well to help with the scheduling and be there. So the owner can take off some time as well. But it's great to, be involved as well and to have a passion for the business.
Oh, yeah. How many clients do you think a franchise owner can take on themselves before they do hire somebody to assist?
Sure. It depends on the project, to be honest with you. If we do have a large move, for example, it's not really a one-person job. It's probably more to a 5 to 8 person job to go in and move a, 5,000 to 15,000 square foot home,
Right.
or to put up 4 Christmas trees like we have on our schedule today. You don't want to be in someone's home for a week. You really want to get in and get out and leave them to their private space and their time with their family.
Right.
But we really have the owner sign on. And then we love to train them with at least 2 lifestyle coordinators off the bat. So they're all sort of part-time workers as needed. But we don't want the owner to be stretched too thin as well. That's why our franchises are on a zip code level. So you're not traveling and having too much drive time in between those clients.
Yeah. It sounds like you really kind of have to strike a balance between taking on, you want to have enough work, but not take on too much unless you can obviously have the help.
Exactly. Because you do still need some of that office, that downtime, keep your files organized and whatnot.
Sure.
But, you're typically out and about and on the road, but you also have to keep up with networking and relationships. And I mean, to us, vendors are key. We work every day with handyman or movers or, whatever the case may be, cleaners, housekeepers. So we have to have a great grasp on who those are. So right off the bat, our owners, they have to make those relationships very quick.
Yeah. I'm thinking about your business has so many moving parts.
Yeah.
What does training and support look like when there are so many different services that a customer could possibly need?
Sure.
You can't train for everything.
Yeah, really. I know, our owners are pretty, this business, it's like you're intuitive with it and you love to do it. And, like I said, you do have some of that hospitality driven mindset.
Yes.
But we do 5 days of training here in our office in Denver. And
Okay.
that goes through the gamut of, business relationships and onboarding clients, onboarding lifestyle coordinators to the marketing, operations, and development networking. But after that, we have a weekly, check-in with our franchisees. And that goes over, the meeting agenda is, all the things that make a business work, the operations, finance, and training, ongoing training. And then we also have an LMS learning system. So you can go on there, for example, and maybe you're not the best at wrapping gifts. You can go on there. We have a tutorial, type in wrapping gifts.
Oh,
We
very
walk you
nice.
through it, or how to pack wine glasses efficiently and safely so they don't break, or how to get gas, where's the gas tank on and what type of gas does the client need? So yes, we go through all these FAQs and, and then every week, who are we marketing to as well? Who are our referral sources so that our franchisees are set up and so they're successful? So
Sure.
working with, week one may be luxury realtors. Week two may be retirement facilities. Where are we going to see folks that are coming in? Maybe it's a mom's group and they're busy moms working. They have 2 to 4 kids. So we go over all of those avenues weekly with our teams.
Okay. Yeah. Because one of the things I was thinking about were, what are those traits for a franchisee to be successful? And of course, if you don't have customers, forget about operations. We need to find customers. So you kind of answer that. They really need to be out in the community, networking and finding that demographic of folks that are going to be looking for personal assistant services.
Of course. Yeah. Us at corporate, we help with the website and SEO and social media and all those great things for marketing, but it's just tried and true. We're more of a word of mouth, company. So once you're into a neighborhood or into a business community or into a church group or, whatnot, we really help early on with that marketing to get those clients and then they start to trickle through.
How does technology play a role in supporting the franchise owner besides the LMS?
Sure. And we also have an app that we use, and the app is centric for scheduling. So all of our scheduling goes through the app, and then all of our clients are also within the app. So you would type in the client, the date you're going, but also within that app, under the client name would be their residence, their square footage. When did they move in? All those details, but then we can keep track as well and say, took the car in for an oil change on this date, or they love to go to spring break with their kids, so let's start planning in January. Or, all of those tidbits that you need to keep that relationship with your client are housed in that app. That app also pushes through to monthly billing for our clients. So it's very easy to just click send, the invoice goes to the client's email inbox, and they can pay online. So we want to make these processes as simple as possible because people are calling us and hiring us because they're busy.
Sure. What about the clients themselves in terms of repeat business? Or what's the percentage of customers you would say are just ongoing, continuing? Sure. I don't know if you call them a member or just an ongoing client versus kind of a one-off. I'm hiring you to do, put up the 4 Christmas trees and leave.
Exactly. So our clients are somewhat, they're a variety. So we have some that are daily. We have some that are at once a week, and that's great for us because we know every Tuesday we're going to Mr. Jones' house and he has his list ready. That's great. And then we have some, like you said, are annually. We know that this is the time where they need us. So that could be every Christmas. But to answer the question, we're about 85% repeat business that they'll come back and they know us. That other 15% is if, the client's moving out of town or if we do a small day of wedding. Those folks somewhat hire you for that job at hand. And then it's like, great, good to know you. You never know. They might come back for a baby shower.
Right. I could easily see this business being as a potential customer thinking, well, I only need them to do this now. And then once you're in, I'm like, and I see what you guys do. I'm like, I am never doing that again. I need them for X, Y, and Z. I can see how this becomes an addiction for a client.
Exactly. They just start to see like the time freeing up and they're like, oh, wow, I can go to my kiddo's basketball game and not stress about, having dinner prepped or whatever the case may be, But yeah, we love that. We love that.
How do you price projects, or is it based on time? How does it all work?
Sure. Everything for us is hourly, 1 hourly rate for personal assistant tasks and 1 hourly rate for event planning tasks. Okay. And those are all broken up within 15-minute quadrants. So if a project took an hour and a half and it was running to get the stamps for the holiday cards and going to Container Store to get something and going to Whole Foods, you would see those on the invoice and let's say an hour and a half, and then they pay from there. Every market sets their different price points. We have some suggested price points, but the market, can pick their price point that makes sense for what's going on in their market.
Okay. Is there a minimum number of hours to do business?
No. No, and that's what differentiates us as well. I think a lot of organizing companies or, personal assistant concierge firms, they do those packages. We've tried them, and just from feedback over, almost 15 years in business now, we have just found just that hourly works great. Even if they only have 38 minutes in November, that can get pushed over to December. It's not a big deal. We know where to find them.
Right. And
so, like
they're
I
coming
said,
back anyway, it sounds like.
Keeping it simple is great. We don't have to go back and forth on how many hours or what package am I in. And it's not a good fit for us.
That makes sense. What does it cost to open a franchise? What's the investment range?
Sure. Our IFF right now is $45K.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have a 7% royalty fee that comes monthly. And then our technology fee, which starts after 3 months, is $400. And we have a 2% marketing fee.
Okay. So everything's all about standard. That's all typical numbers for a service-based franchise opportunity. Yeah. And all right, so you mentioned earlier the territories work by zip code.
Yeah.
How big is the territory?
Yeah, great question. So it's very different per area. Birmingham, for example, may be one zip code, but then, based on demographic and how many people and, society, whatnot. But if we're going to Houston, we would break that into 4 quadrants or so by zip code. So we go off of how many people, and then we go down the scale through demographics to see what makes the most sense. Like we said, we're in our vehicles a lot, so we don't want to have too much of that drive time. I mean, and another reason I decided to franchise was before, the franchise and before the 2 neighboring franchises to us sold, our team of lifestyle coordinators based heavily in Denver were driving to Castle Rock and Castle Pines or to Boulder and to Erie and Lafayette. And it's not there for the client or our time or the money, So
sure.
Having that really specialized is great. And we have a great team that we work with to help us out when we get to that level with the prospect.
Yeah. And I would imagine when you're designing territories, so it's not just the population, you're looking at the household income demographic as well.
Exactly.
There's a certain clientele that you're obviously appealing to. You're a premium product, premium service.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are there key considerations financially that potential franchisees need to focus on when they're evaluating a franchise, like how long it takes to get up and running and overall just the business when they're evaluating financially?
Absolutely. We do recommend more, so like 75K liquid capital after that, the 45K, just to have, we do a launch party. There might be marketing efforts that we suggest or recommend, so definitely having, a little bit of a cushion is always great just to get started and up and running. But, our onboarding process, as mentioned, you start here in Denver, really getting your vendors, getting your training set, starting that client process, but really marketing and getting into networking events. But by, within that 30 to 90 days, you're up and running. It's a pretty quick turnaround.
Sure. That's the beauty of not being a brick and mortar.
Exactly. Yes. We don't have to worry about it.
So you've only been franchising for a year and a half or so?
A year. Yeah. Our first one sold almost a year ago. I think November 20th.
Congratulations. What's been a big aha or breakthrough or maybe just a surprise? Like I wasn't expecting this when I franchised.
Yeah. I think, the first thing is really, I think because the 2 markets that were first sold were so close to us, I think having that oh, wow, this makes so much sense. Why don't we do this sooner?
Right.
True. Because once you're in that territory too, so say, for example, Boulder, Sarah who owns Boulder, she's vast in Boulder. She knows all the realtors. She knows the vendors. She knows where the dry cleaner is. She knows her way around, so that is very, I thought about it, of course, but once you're really doing it, it just makes so much more sense to have that owner, because people ask why don't you just do a corporate location there? I'm like, I don't know the location in New Orleans. You know what I mean? You really have to have someone. Exactly. Someone that's very integrated in their own town, their own community, that has, maybe family, friends, their own job, that they start to sort of do that grassroots marketing right off the bat. So I think for me, that was just the biggest, like, oh, great. They know the market.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest reasons why to franchise your concept. There's not enough you could research online to replace actually living in the territory.
Exactly.
I recall even designing territories in the early days before we were using software.
Sure.
And I remember dividing the territory up and having the potential franchisee sitting across from me and him saying, this doesn't make sense at all because people that live in my town, we never cross this road. And the people that, live there, well, they belong to this other town.
Right.
And you have the kind of conversations that software, again, can't replace living in a territory. And in your business, it's like 10x because of all the services they need. It would be very hard to teach somebody to be a franchisee. Like, it would be impossible to put me in a franchise and say, okay, Frank, you're going to St. Louis. I don't know St. Louis. I don't know anybody. So living in the community is so critical.
Extremely important. Yes.
Yeah. Not to mention, it would be awfully frustrating if you didn't know the community.
Exactly.
As a franchise owner.
Oh, yeah. It's like, where do you start? Obviously there's the internet and whatnot, but your point to just having these personal connections and knowing the area and the lay of the land, it's so powerful. And we have to do it with ours. It's the only way it'll work, really.
Yeah. And at the same time, like you said, you're going to search on the internet. Great example. You don't need to know. You don't need a fence guy to repair a fence. You don't need to know one. You could search online and find repair fences. But it definitely helps to know where the dry cleaners are and stuff like that without having to research everything from scratch.
Of course. And we have such a, curated list of vendors that we text our plumber text anyone that they're their day up. They know they're getting paid that day. They know we're going to be on time. They know how efficient we work together as a team. So for them to partner with us is such a bonus. But when clients say, oh, I'm sure it's going to take you hours or days to get anyone in here to fix this, I'm like, oh, no, we'd love to help you today. So having those relationships are just powerful.
Yeah, you're building a powerful roster of people, of suppliers that essentially
we trust as well, that will show up on time and be professional and know their job and not, overprice us and overcharge us, things like that. So having that trust factor, the clients trust you, then they're going to trust our vendors.
What are the most popular events and such that you're organizing? So not the typical errand that you're doing and running to the dry cleaner and going to the pharmacy, but what are some of the most popular organizing events that you're doing?
Yeah, so on the event planning side, I would say anything really social. And for us, saying social is more birthday, graduation, mitzvah, retirement parties, anything in a life sequence, this is coming up. We know it's on the calendar. This is out of our skill set. You've worked in our family for, a couple years now. I know you guys do events as well. And the same goes for the event side of the business, which in our Denver market is about 30% of our business here, is having those relationships with bakers, caterers, rental companies, florists. Even we're doing the FBN pop-up here in a couple weeks for our holiday party with a franchise law firm, and we offered to help plan it. And it's so fun, but we know the vendors. It's not going to take long, So we know who's great. We know our private chefs. We know how to pull up a room together. So having these tools and, like I said, these partnerships is great. But the events are fun. And a lot of holiday parties, holidays coming up. And we have some Friendsgiving parties coming up, Thanksgiving. Even for Thanksgiving, it's fun, that week of Thanksgiving where, some of the kiddos are off of school now. Everyone's running around like crazy. But it's like we can go over for an hour, drop off the groceries you're going to need, maybe meal prep a little bit, set the table, tee up the music, get the candles out, get the things out maybe on Tuesday so that on Thursday morning, you're not running around with your hair on fire. You're like, I was prepped for an hour. This would have taken me 3, and then you can ease into the day and actually enjoy it with your family. So having those little preparatory things as well, it can really help out a client.
Allison, you take the overwhelm out of life.
Yeah, we try.
That's what your company does. You
Yes,
take
sir.
the overwhelm out. What is your long-term vision for the company?
Yeah, we would love, next year, God, we're ready to, take on more franchises. We hope to have 8 more into our As You Wish lifestyle family. So that would be next year. And then, in about 5 years, we'll evaluate, see, we hope to be at about 40 units by then. But we want to take the process with, it's got to be the right fit, we have to have enthusiastic franchisees. And they have to be, in markets that aren't sold. But that's our goal, and then kind of reassess what that looks like in, 5 years or so to see what the next step is. But for now, we're just like loving it. I still love going into clients. This afternoon, I'm actually going to help my team just jump in and help with a holiday installation that they have today. So it's fun. And Saturday, I'm going gift wrapping for a real estate company. They're doing a holiday pop-up. And I'm like, great, this is why I started this company. It's still fun to me. So you have to have that passion to really enjoy it. I mean, it's much different to run a company and to run a franchise, of course, but just to still be in it is fun sometimes too.
Yeah. Well, you're helping people. You're taking taking the overwhelm out of their daily life. And
of course,
I would imagine when you're evaluating a potential franchise owner, you're thinking to yourself, how would I feel if I was the client? Would I want this person? Would I hire this person?
Exactly. Are they comfortable? Do they know, our services? Are they going to be excited to go in there and really help them? And you're right. It is such a gratifying experience to leave a client's home and know how much you helped them. And, we had a client last week, they're, empty nesters are somewhat downsizing, or they want to live in that house that's one floor. And we're finding that a lot of our clients have lived in these homes for 40, 50 years. And it's really going through room by room, but you have to be empathetic with them and really let them guide, because they have their kids' yearbooks and art projects still, but their kids are grown and have their own kids, so it's a big step and change in clients' lifestyles as well, that you really have to, you're a part of that.
Yeah. I thinking about your ideal franchise owner, of course, they have to be organized.
Sure.
They have to have those soft skills that you can't train on.
Exactly. And that is part of our mission and our vision, is just to have that level of empathy and, confidentiality, but also just the integrity overall of going into someone's space and knowing you're there for a job as well, and we say to our lifestyle coordinators, every client of ours is our individual boss. So that way you're going in, you're respectable, you take your shoes off when you go in the door. So we have our, our ABCs on what, how we want to portray ourselves to our clients.
How do you set, or what do you say when you're trying to set expectations for a potential franchise owner? They're doing their due diligence. They're looking at different franchises, or maybe not. Maybe they're just looking at your business because they love the idea of it. And you want to really set the expectation of really what this is versus what they think it might be.
Sure. I think it goes back to that hard work at the beginning and creating these relationships with whether it be a vendor or a referral source or your neighborhood group or your church group, whatever that may be, to really network and, get the name out. As we grow, it'll be more of a household name, As You Wish, but they have to put in the time. I know sometimes we even get interviews here locally that's, I love to run errands, or I love repping gifts, and I love to organize. That's great. I love the enthusiasm. But, for the owner, you do have to put in that work or time, or at least hire someone to do that sort of rollout marketing with us.
Yeah. And when it comes to marketing, social media, I'm sure is part of it. Are you doing that for them, or teaching the franchisee how to do it?
Sure. Yep. So we do their website for them and their SEO, and then Google My Business, which is super important, and, train and guide them on how to get reviews and testimonials, add photos, whatnot. And then on the social media side, we handle our LinkedIn pages. We handle our Facebook page, and then Instagram. Every city has their own As You Wish Instagram page. So we do their sort of grid, if you will, because it'll have, our our segregated marketing that, we're doing. But then they can do their stories and add to that. And then we're all on a group shared photo drive so we can all share. I mean, our business is so visual. We make gift baskets for realtor closings, or we do, gifting for the holiday, or a beautiful birthday cake we just got from a baker. Like, we love to tag and support and collaborate with every vendor we use.
Right.
So that's a huge part of our business. We have a great social media person here on corporate that, helps and guides them. But it is a lot of part of our training that we work with the franchisee on.
Okay, Allison, I think this is a great concept. I can see the need for sure, and it's unique. I would think that a franchisee can truly make this as big as they want to, or, as small as they feel comfortable with. I really think this comes down to the potential. It comes down to them. Exactly.
Like, do they want to have 10 lifestyle coordinators and really hit it out of the park? Or do they want to keep it 2 to 3 and keep it, maybe their side hustle? I mean, you could go both ways. We hope for more, because they will own that territory. And we hope that they love it just as much as we do.
Yep. If someone was interested in learning more about the franchise opportunity, where would they go?
Sure. Our franchise website's great, asyouwishfranchise.com. And then our client-facing website is asyouwishlifestyle.com.
Great. All right, Allison, my last question for you. I call it the franchise tip jar because the franchise community is so generous. You probably know. If I was an entrepreneur and I was thinking of franchising my business, what would be a piece of advice you'd give me before I go diving in and franchising my company?
I'd say 2 things. One, hire professionals in the franchise world. I have learned that even marketing or operationally, maybe they're wonderful, but if they're not in the franchise marketing or franchise operations, it's very different. Don't waste your time. Work with a franchise professional.
Great advice.
I think my other is just like, have a little bit more of that liquid capital on the back end. Things come up. It's definitely a cash heavy, kind of way up at first, working with your attorneys, making sure your FTD is good. And then you get into your audit. You have to be ready for those things because they come very quickly. So just make sure you're prepared on the financial end.
Great advice. Actually, so another question I have for you on that.
Sure.
How many states are you approved in all the states, or did you just file in some registration states?
Yeah, we're just in non-registration right now, but as soon as that opportunity is there, our attorney's so fast and her paralegal seems to know everyone. So, so we would just say, okay, great, get us going in, whatever state that Michigan.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Allison, thank you so much for being on the show. This is great. I love the service. I can see this thing really, really blowing up. You have a great opportunity here. So thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you, Frank. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.